What's up, sister? It's your girl Danielle, and welcome back to the Pretty Powerful Podcast.
Also, I wore this shirt to be on brand today. I was channeling your energy. I don't know if you've ever listened to Lady Bree. Have you heard her music?
No.
Oh, girl, she channels so much of your energy. So I took my dog to the dog park and I was jamming out. I got myself a pumpkin spice latte. I was like, let's go.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Those of you listening, you're like, okay, who is Amber? Amber, you need to know Amber Zaricor. I keep saying her last name because I'm going to say it correctly. But she thrives by creating a safe, inclusive community for women to chase their big, scary dreams through hosting a weekly wine night in her home, which I wish I lived near her so I could go to those. And by hosting the Fill Your Cup conference, which I have been blessed to get to go to one year, which is absolutely amazing. And I hope that next year, Amber, you better have it on a date that I can go because the conference is so good. So if you're looking for something that just literally fills your cup, that's where you need to be. She is also listed amongst the top 10 designers in Tennessee, where she leads a team of creative entrepreneurs and building brands through powerful storytelling with her branding agency, Copperheart Creative. And in her free time, as if she has any, but I'm sure she makes time for herself. In her free time, Amber fills her cup by journaling at local coffee shops, spreading hope through coloring sidewalk chalk, which is so fun, and spending quality time with her hubby, new daughter Ellie, and their beautiful golden doodle, Lola. Welcome to the show, Amber.
Hi, what an intro. Thank you so much.
I feel like there's so many pieces. I'm like, no, I need to say this instead. And there's this. You do so many cool, amazing, fun things. But I really also miss, we're going to talk a lot about building a supportive community that pours into you instead of not taking from your cup, right? That's your whole thing is the Fill Your Cup conference and stuff. How do you fill your cup with self-care, right? And you're a new mom, you're running a business, you're doing all the things. And I know, like you said, let's be honest, I'm going through things and I'm figuring things out as I go. But tell me more about Amber and how did you were you 10 years old? One day I'm going to run a conference about filling your cup and I do self-care at the age of 8. And so I'm going to teach everyone how to do self-care. Where did all of this come from?
Oh my gosh. Girl, it came from the exact opposite. I feel like the best lessons that we learn are the lessons that we walk and the hard seasons that we step into and overcome. And so we were saying before hopping on here that our mess becomes our message. And that's truly where the conference was born. I have not been practicing self-care. I actually did the polar opposite and was grinding and hustling and doing the quote unquote girl boss thing so hard that I lost myself in the hustle. I forgot who I was. I started having panic attacks. I lost relationships because I was so focused on achieving and people pleasing and growing my business that I forgot all the parts of who I am. And so I constantly am talking with women and love hearing women's stories. And when I was in the midst of the season, I was hosting my wine night. Every Wednesday I used to host and the conversation just kept coming up that I wasn't the only person going through this. And then I would have a call with one of my clients that is also a small business owner. And we were working with them on branding. And this is a professional relationship, but somehow still it would come up of we're just trying to juggle everything and I'm just dropping balls and this is one more thing. And I just don't know how I'm going to keep up. And I'm like, why are we all feeling this way? And then the pandemic hit and it made everyone take a pause and a deep breath. And really what happened was the world quieted down and we had to sit with our own stuff. And I never realized how important this work was or the conference until that season. And I had attendees that had attended in February 2020 was our first conference. And then in April, I think it was April, the world shut down. And they're like, I'm so glad I have these tools. I'm so glad I have this community. I'm so grateful that this happened when it did, because I don't know where I would be mentally without it. And so that is, I am not a branding, I am a branding expert, but I am not a self-care expert by any any form or fashion. But what I love bringing is women into the room to share their stories and bringing in experts, speakers, and just having a safe space to like talk about our stuff and learn what worked for you and how to go about making change and being just real. Sometimes we go to conferences and we feel like we have to put on a face and pass business cards and shake hands and say all the right things. And this is the polar opposite of that. And it is just like a big old, like take my living room wine night and expand it to like 200 women. And that's the conference feel. So yeah, it's been a journey. We just had our 4th one in Nashville, and next year we're coming back to Ohio. So stay tuned. But yeah, it's been a roller coaster. It's been so fun. And I learn every single year really big life lessons of how to fill my cup.
I love it. And I can vouch for that it does feel like you're in a room and you're just bringing women together to talk. And what I really loved a lot about the one that I was able to attend is, yes, there's the speakers, which we all love because we get motivated and inspired and learn things. One of my favorite parts of the Fill Your Cup conference was when we sat with our table and we talked to the person next to us and like shared our dreams and shared, because like every woman is just so powerful. And so like I learned so much, and we're still friends. Like we talk, the people at my table, like we got to really understand and then share ideas and all of those things where it was like, so cool. Like it was just such an amazing experience. So you mentioned that every time you learn some big like lessons of self-care, what is one of the top things that maybe you've learned over the past few years of doing all of this that you try? Again, we all go through seasons where it's not what we would love for it to be. It's not perfect. None of us are perfect. But the thing where you're like, okay, that is my go-to lesson of self-care that I always will implement. Do you have one of those?
Oof, that's a juicy one. And I feel like this looks different for everybody, but mine personally was to log off. Like, and we talked about this earlier, when I am like not in a great headspace, self-care looks like for me, stepping away, stepping back, because I am such a people pleaser. I am such a go-getter. I'm so like, I want to engage. I want to create relationship, whether you're down the road from me or across the country. The internet is such a beautiful gift that we get to do that. But for self-care, for me, when I'm in those seasons of like, I'm teetering burnout, I know that I need to pause and step back and log off.
Is that easy for you?
Oh my gosh, no. Okay. No. No.
Because I can imagine, I mean, for me, like you say, like log off, I'm like, oh my gosh, really log off? And I love that. When I saw your post the other day, I was like, that is brilliant to log off, like for self-care. But I can imagine how hard that would be because that's how we connect, And so I love that, that you step into that and know what you need and you do that, because how many of us know what we need to do and we just don't do it?
Absolutely. And there's, again, it looks different for everybody. I like have started this, and I have to do it for myself and I talked about this, I think in Ohio was the first time I actually shared about it, but I've been sharing it more and more often, is that I do this POUR method, POUR. So pause, open up, unplug, and reflect. And that is honestly like how my cycle of burnout and self-care, like how I continue, like once I feel myself tiptoeing towards that, like in my version where I know that I'm out of alignment and I know that I'm not taking care of myself, is I get frustrated with all the little things. I get overwhelmed. I have a mile-long to-do list and I open my laptop and I feel like there's just like 500 tabs open in my brain. And I'm like, I can't even finish one simple task. Or lately, this might be a tinge of like mommy pregnancy brain too, but I like put the milk in the pantry and my husband came home and was like, what is this? And I'm like, oh, I need to like slow down. I am so out of alignment. And so burnout, like it shows up in different ways. And the best part about like the pause, but what you mentioned was the open up and being able to, like when my husband pulled me aside and was like, why is the milk in the cabinet? I'm like, I'm struggling. Like I need to slow down and I need support and I don't know what's going on. And I started crying and like just speaking that because I'd felt that for weeks, but just to open up and then feel like the tears flood, it's like, oh my gosh, it was like a release. And that was the first time that my aha moment of like logging off too. So unplugging. And the hardest part of logging off is feeling like you're going to be forgotten or that people won't remember you or that anyone will even miss you, that they won't know that you're not online anymore. And it's this bizarre relationship that we have with social media. And taking that sabbatical was one of the best things I've ever done in my life. And so I try to sprinkle that in the last like quarter of the year. So like from now to the new year, I'll log off. And the holidays is when we want to be the most present. So it's the most important.
That is so powerful. And everyone's going to write down when they're not driving, POUR.
Yes.
I love
Pause,
that.
open up, unplug, reflect. And reflect too, like we did this at the conference. We scheduled it in was we have after every speaker where you can reflect and journal. And journaling isn't like not everyone is a journaler. And so this year we actually added in one journal session and then one like discussion session for my verbal processor. So it was a good like balance, but I'm a journaler. I love it.
Yeah. Do you journal? Do you journal every day?
Not every day, but I do try to make space. And when I do get in those seasons of like frustration or burnout or even celebrating my wins, when I have just like a really awesome day, like this morning and how today is starting to go, I'm like, I want to journal after this because I want to come back to this moment. And that's the best way to do it is just to document it. So I try not to overthink it or make it perfect or have to journal every single day. Like I just love writing what I'm feeling when I'm feeling it.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you saying that because I am not a journaler. I want to, I have a little desire to be a journaler. But again, for me, when I hear people say, you should journal, I think of, okay, I had to wake up and first thing in the morning, I have to do a prompt and then I have to sit there and write so much, you know?
Oh my
and so
gosh. Yeah.
You know, like that's what goes to my brain when people are like, oh yeah, you should journal. I'm like, okay, that sounds like another thing on my to-do list. That sounds like another stressful thing. So I love how you say like, it's just my feelings and just so I can come back and I can reflect. And it's not just the bad time, like the struggle times, it's also like the celebration time. So I love that. Like that mentality around journaling, it kind of takes a lot of the pressure off of it to be like a certain way of being a
absolutely.
journaler.
And the best way that I learned to do that, I worked with my coach and it's perfectionism. And that's what that whole thing is like, you feel like it should be a certain way. You buy a specific journal. You feel like it has to be in a certain time. Like
Why are you judging me, Amber?
It's because it's past Amber. Like I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
And I always said I wanted to be a journaler. I also always said I wanted to be a runner. And I also thought that was not in the cards for me. And I thought it had to be a certain way to run full marathons and do all these crazy things and like get the shoes. And like, it's like, I just started running. Like I just picked a mailbox and I ran to that mailbox. And then I picked a farther mailbox and then I ran to that mailbox. And then I just started like enjoying the scenery. And now I'm like, I'm a runner. Like, you know, like you have to define what that is for you. And journaling was definitely that for me. And now after doing that practice for 5 or 6 years, my favorite part, Danielle, is I have 5 or 6 years of like documented life, not just photos to like go back on. Cause we don't have photos of like those really hard, frustrating moments. Like a lot of it is in my dialogue with God. Cause that is my higher power. And I am journaling like, what am I doing? Like, why did you call me to do this certain thing? Or I'm so frustrated right now with X, Y, and Z. Like it's almost like a dialogue that I can have with my higher power and my best self, the best version of myself. And I can also get all those frustrations out. And then now what I do is I go back and I look at those frustrations or like, God, why would you put this on my heart? Or what's happening with the conference? I'm so confused. Like, I think this is going to be my last year. I wrote that in 2021. I'm like, this is so hard. Why am I doing this? And now here we are. on conference number 4 coming into number 5. And it's like, that's why like I got through that season, and I can go back and now I have proof of how strong and how badass I am to continually remind me of these hard days that I'm in right now. Cause there's nothing better than some proof of our own lives.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I just need to bottle up that like last 3 sentences you just said and just like listen to that every single day. Cause that is so good, because there are so many women right now listening that are going through those tough times, right? Those struggle times. And it's like, for what? Why? And yeah, just to be able to look back and be like, okay, like it worked out for this reason. Like, this is why. So what would you share? Like, what would you tell someone, a woman that's in that position now where she doesn't feel powerful? She doesn't feel that way. Like, what would you say would be like the next steps? Like that could help or be beneficial for her. Obviously journaling. But is there anything else where you're like, this would be the thing?
Yeah. Here's the thing, is that when we get in our own thoughts, we're our worst critic. You know this, you preach this all the time. Like, there is, instead of just saying journaling, like what I would say to someone who's not feeling powerful in this moment right now today is to write down every thought that you have about yourself. Just write it down. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be messy. There might be tears. There might be anger. Like, maybe get the red pen out, like live your life, like let it out. If you need to light that on fire, light it on fire. If you need to share it with a very trusted friend or a partner, like share that with them and be vulnerable and real of where you're at. And then ask them to speak truth to every single lie that you wrote on the page. Like, and then write it next to it and cross that other stuff out. Like, have someone speak into you when you don't have, because sometimes our cups are so empty that we don't have the power. Again, not feeling powerful. We don't have the power inside of us, or the energy or the capacity or the right mindset to speak that truth and know that's a lie, what's on the page. So to have someone come in, like a trusted friend or a mentor or even a therapist, or if you have a good relationship with your parents or a sibling, like anyone that can speak truth into your life, positive truth, have them look at that list and be like, help me out. This is where I'm at. Like, I know that this is not right, but I don't know how to get out of this mindset. And then just put that stuff on your mirror, put it on the background of your phone, have them constantly ask them for accountability to text you and remind you one of those affirmations every day. Like, do what you need to do to start believing that, and start small, knowing that it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, man, that just gave me goosebumps. Like, that is powerful to have someone be able to cross things off that you feel that are negative and replace them with all of the truths that there are. Like, I feel like if we all actually did that, that would be like game changer. So good. Thank you for sharing that. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I hope that everyone listening like goes and does that right now, and then they come back and they're like, oh my gosh, like this is what happened, and then show the pictures and all the things, because that feels so good already just thinking about it, right? It feels good just thinking like about someone just taking my list and be like, this is dumb, rip it up and here's the new one. Like, that is so that's so good. Okay, Amber, I want to get into a little bit about like building, like you said, building a supportive community, right? To like fill your cup. How can people, what are, like, let's say we don't live close to you, Amber. We can't come to your wine nights. And I know you're on pause right now, but like, what would you suggest if someone feels kind of alone and they're somewhere where they don't really have a lot of friends, or maybe they just moved, or maybe, life is tough, whatever. How can they start building that supportive community? Like, where would you start?
It's so interesting because you're saying all this, and I recently came into a season, I'm a new mom. And so I am in a totally day and night season of like where I was before. And so I'm actually struggling with a little bit of this right now too. And I'm in the middle of building that, and carrying over and growing my community in this new entire capacity that I actually need for community. I have a newfound need for community in a different type of community where before what was serving me is now no longer serving me in a certain way. So if you're sitting there and you're like, I've never had community, I don't know what that is. Or if you're here like, I feel like I've either outgrown or outstretched my community, or I've shifted gears and I've just moved that. Have you read The Slightest Edge, where you like just start moving that 1% train track and all of a sudden you're in a totally different, there's so much in that. And so I'm actually in the season right now. So dear listener, sweet girl, I'm in this with you and I'm going to start taking my own advice. But here is ways that I found to build community. The first one is I've just totally put my pride aside and I've literally walked up to the barista that is so smiley and takes my order every day. And just, I feel like there's just great synergy with her. I'm like, would you like to be my friend? Like, would you like to grab coffee sometime? Or like, I have a friend that I met. She was a barista and now she like lives in Portland, Oregon, and she's just thriving. Like there is so much beauty in just asking, like, kids do it on the playground all the time. Do you want to be my friend? Why did we ever stop doing that? Like,
I don't know, but I love that you did that. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so like, why not?
There is so much beauty and vulnerability in that too. What lunatic would be like, no, I don't want to be your friend? Like, she'd be like, at least give me the time of day and like, yes, like, let's grab lunch or like at least some sort of like, even if we were just texting for a little bit, like anything, like that relationship could go nowhere or it could go, she could be my new best friend in 2 years. Like releasing any kind of pressure or expectation of meeting someone new and then just being open to it. So putting your pride aside, being open to new friends, and then having no expectation for that.
Can I also just say, as like, if someone came up to me and they were like, would you want to be friends? I would feel on top of the world. I would feel like the coolest human. I would feel so amazing. Like that would make me be like, oh my gosh, like you just see me and we've talked for a hot second. I give you your coffee or whatever. And like, you really want to be my friend. Do you know how many of us would be so thrilled if someone asked us to be their friend? And yet we sit back and we're like, well, I can't ask them to be my friend because that's weird. But like on the other, but at the same time, like
what a gift.
What a gift to be like, somebody wants to be my friend. Again, as adults, we're like sitting at home by ourselves, having conversations with our dogs or babies. And we're like, I'd love a friend. And there's a friend. They're everywhere, but we don't do. I love that so much. Okay, I'm going to shut up. So that was step one, is we're going to get over that. We're going to ask people if we feel something with someone. We're like, do you want to be my friend? Okay.
Yes. Next is I injected myself into communities that already existed. So I started looking around. We just moved to a new area of Nashville. We're on the north side now. We were on the west side. Believe it or not, there's a pretty big commute there. And it really is like when you have close community, especially as a new mom, I'm like, I need a friend that can literally like bring me coffee when I can't get out of bed, or like that can show up and like take my kid for a couple hours so I can shower. Like that is community. And so, I feel like having like planting roots where your feet are. So I started looking at groups in the area, in the community, and I found this awesome co-working space that was opening up right as I moved here. And they hosted a new moms group and they got together once a month. And I was like, immediately, like, I bought a membership. I went to every single event. I asked the like owner of the space, I'm like, do you want to grab lunch? Like, I'd love to like hear your story and just like connect. And she was like, yes. And then immediately, like now I have goosebumps right now. Like it was so intimidating because I felt like these girls had all known each other for years, or I felt like they already had established friends, or why would they want to be friends with me? Like all of these lies started to creep in when I was reaching out. Mm-hmm. And then their responses was like, absolutely, welcome to town. Come on. Like we want to like embrace you and love you. And it's amazing. Again, same with that one-on-one of like, would you like to be my friend? And like asking, hey, I'd love to grab lunch, or I'd love to like support your community. And then immediately coming in and just being like, I need friends. Like Is there any way, like, are you guys getting together soon or buying the ticket to the event and like showing up and supporting? Like, it immediately shows them that you care because you're investing. And then also back, like, they're like, how can we support you? It's like, oh, well, I just need friends. Like, if you could like maybe be my friend.
Yes.
So again, asking someone just to be your friend, just like a kid would on the playground. And then two, also injecting yourself into communities that already exist.
Yeah, that's so good. So good. So, and again, it's not like mind blowing, right? Like, how hard is it to ask someone to be your friend? But these are things like we just don't do because it feels uncomfortable. It feels weird because we've been told that. So, that's so good. And also, I'm just going to throw this out there, Amber, because as someone who does not have children, and I know it wasn't long ago when you did not have a child either, but I would love, like, I had a couple of mom friends who asked me over the summer to like go to the pool with them with their kids. And I was like, oh my God, yes, that would be so fun. And again, but with some of their hesitation was like, but there's going to be kids, but they're going to be fine. Like, we'll just go do our, and I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, I'm here for the party. Like, I sit home by myself with my dogs, right? Like, invite me to come hang out with your kids. I'll entertain your kids for a couple hours while you do whatever you need to do, right? So, I think it's really important for moms to also like know that too about like some of your friends that are not moms are sitting at home like, I wish I had, but like, I'm not going to go to the pool by myself. So like, it'd be cool to go with like kids or go to a theme park or go, right? Like go to a movie with a kid movie. So maybe also reaching out to like non-moms who would really like to just get out and hang out and just be a kid themselves and maybe give you some time. So that was just my thought.
Absolutely. Yes. And I have like some of my girlfriends that have really like that I have carried into this season with me are those friends. Like the people that are like, oh, can you like get a sitter or like, oh, like, can you come to me? It's like, you clearly don't understand the season right now that I'm in. And so the friends that are like, put her in the stroller. Let's go for a walk. Where do you guys like to usually walk? Or let's go get Chick-fil-A and she can like hang out or like, those are the friends. Those are the girlfriends that come into the seasons with you when they're flexible and are open. And that, as soon as like those like those friends step into a different season, I'm like, how can I support you? What do you need? Like, it's this ongoing flex of like, you pour into me, I pour into you. Like, it's a mutual relationship where the friends that drop off in those seasons are the ones that aren't open to coming into that new season with you. And that's like a thank you for serving me. You've served me well in this past season. Now I'm in a new season and I have to understand that my capacity is different and this isn't a great fit anymore. Like, it's just a natural ebb and flow.
Yeah.
But I feel like even as you're saying that, like, I guess like the last tip I guess I would have for like building a supportive community would be like really getting a clear understanding of what you need in a friend. And as we're saying community, I just keep coming back to friendship because it really is like an extended friendship. It really is like it's a relationship no matter how you look at it. And so I really sat back and similarly to before I met my husband, I like made the like, like the Mr. Right checklist. Yeah. And it's like, if he hits like 4 of the 5 or 3 of the 5, then it's like, great, like awesome. And so having some sort of understanding that when you're looking for friends in this new season, like what kind of support do you need? And what kind of capacity level do you have and how can you show up for them? Or where are you looking to grow in your life and like who can support you and how can you pour into them too? Like, it's like this beautiful awareness that as you start searching, you're not just collecting humans, that you're like really building relationships with the right people.
I love that. You're not collecting humans. Like, you know what you want, you know what you need, and like, that's what you're looking for. So I love that too, because that's also something, even when we're little, right? The friendship thing, I run a girl empowerment program. So the girls are often like, they switch schools or they're doing this or someone doesn't want to be their friend anymore. They're not sure if someone should be their friend, and those are things where like, oh, little kids, we deal with that. And then we get older and then we're like, we have a hard time with breaking up with friends. We have a hard time with accepting that maybe we're at a different space and we need new friends, right? And so we still as adults like struggle with this like friendship thing because like you said, we're not really sure exactly, we don't take a second to figure out like what are our expectations with a friend, right? Like, and does this person live up to those expectations? And if not, that's cool. Like that just means that we can be friendly, but like maybe not friends. So
yep. 100%.
I love that.
And too, like I said, like in the different seasons too, like more is not always merrier. And that's been the lesson that I've lived by my whole life was the more the merrier. I was always the girl that was kind of friends with everyone, but didn't have a best friend.
Mm.
And then as I have grown in age, I recently had the gift of a best friend. And I'm like, I am so fulfilled in so many different ways that like, instead of reaching out to everybody, I have like a handful of women that I can call. They are my ride or dies. They would be there in a heartbeat. And you and I had talked before, like earlier of I'm in a messy season right now. And the internet does not know this because I'm not going wide. I'm going deep and I'm going deep with my circle. And so they're walking this journey with me. They're in it thick and thin. Like I'm not looking to make a ton of new friends in this season. I'm looking to go deeper with the people that are already in my life or looking for a couple new women to link arms with in a specific direction that I'm going to link arms and become stronger and get that support and that mutual uplifting in this new season. So there's also grace in that. But as you were talking about like the flex of friendship breakups and knowing if they're not a good fit anymore, as adults, like I feel like friendship breakups are so much harder than like sometimes actual breakups.
Yes.
But I've been doing this thing recently over the past 5 years where I draw a target on a piece of paper and I make the center circle the size of like my thumbnail. And then I make a circle outside of that that's a little bit bigger, and then a circle outside of that that is a little bit bigger. And I come back to this target exercise and I'm constantly, you can only fit so many names inside that teeny tiny target. And then on the outer ring, you can only fit so many names outside of that. And essentially, it's almost like an audit of your time and your energy level and your capacity and where your friends are fitting. So someone who might have been in your core, but then you moved across the country or they got a different job where they're working all the time. Like maybe they went from that center circle to the like second or third ring. Like, and that's okay. Like knowing that they're still in your circle, but not as close as you once were is almost like a relief to know that it's not a full breakup or just shifting. And then someone from the outer circle might, like the barista that you're like, hi, would you like to be my friend? Like she's like not even in the circle yet. She's like way out here. She might start like slowly creeping in the more that you do that exercise and the more that you become friends and the more that you get to know each other and be vulnerable and real and share experiences. So I feel like that's a great way to just have peace about like, I do have people. I'm not alone. And on the hard days when you're like, I don't know who to call, open up that circle.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that circle, like I see it in my mind. That is an exercise that I think we all should do because I do think, again, as adults, we go through this and just like think of people and we're like, oh, well, we're not really that close. And then also that might allow you to see like the people that are on the outside where you're like, man, do I want them to be part of my thumbnail, right? Like, do I want them to be there? Because if so, then I need to start picking up the phone more. I need to start meeting more. I need to start, asking them for help more and asking if I can help them, like, because there are people where we kind of just slowly disconnect, but maybe they are supposed to be part of the thumbnail or vice versa. Maybe someone's part of the thumbnail and you're like, why am I spending so much time with this person? Like, they kind of drain my energy. They're in the wrong spot, right? And it kind of takes the pressure off of you of like making it mean good or bad, but just like you said, an audit of just realizing where am I spending the time? Who are the people? And then maybe deciding where do I actually want them to be? And can I move them around? Like who deserves to be moved, essentially. I love that.
They don't need to know that. That's just for you and your like personal awareness. That's like a piece of like, I want to be a journaler. Like this is something you can do in your journal and like, boom, you're a journaler. You're welcome. Like, but do not share if someone's like not in their center ring, or like you don't need to share this
Right.
target with anybody, but it's just very much so, especially when if you do have a partner or spouse that or even my mom, I show it to her sometimes and she's like, well, why don't you call Meg? I feel like she would really like love to hear from you. I'm like, you're right. I should call
Yeah.
Meg. Like,
No, it's
because she knows
true.
my circle. She's like, hey, you've been spending time with these people out here, but like, have you forgot? Like, where's your core at? Where are they in your time?
Yeah. Auditing your time with that. I love that so much. Are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Let's go.
Let's go. Okay. You mentioned a book. So what is one of your top favorite personal growth books?
Is this super cheesy that this is how we met? But probably Chasing the Bright Side by Jess Ekstrom. I love her energy and everything about that book is great.
Yes, I 100%. All right. Your favorite treat meal, like if it was going to be your last meal ever, what would you choose?
Lava cake for show.
Oh, you're speaking
With
my
a
love
huge
language.
scoop of ice cream. And
Chocolate or vanilla?
chocolate for sure.
Oh, okay. Yes.
And Texas Roadhouse rolls with their butter.
Amber, I had no idea we were so connected. We can totally go eat together. Like, that's all you need is the bread and the dessert. Like, what else is? I mean, I could go for some chicken fingers too, but I love that so much. Okay, so good. What is one movement or exercise that you enjoy doing that makes you feel powerful?
Running for sure.
What does being pretty powerful mean to you?
I feel like it means to step into my power. Like, power looks different for everyone, but it's like, what power do I possess and how can I embrace that every day?
Ooh. What is one time where you might have not felt so powerful, but you stepped into your power and you surprised yourself?
Probably the birth of my daughter. It was not as planned as what we thought it would be. And I have never been so mentally and physically challenged in my life. And I had a newfound why for showing up and for stepping into my power. And she is now my why. And right when I thought I was going to throw in the towel or I couldn't do it, like I just remembered her and her beautiful spirit and what she brings to this world. And it gets me every time.
So good. So good. Who is one powerful woman that has inspired you in your life?
I would say Mary Hyatt. She is my coach and she has continued to pour into me for the past 4 or 5 years and has guided me through a lot of rough seasons and reminded me who I am. And just by guiding me and asking me, who are you? Like asking me the right questions at the right time. So I'm so grateful for her.
Love it. What is one song that makes you feel powerful?
Ooh. Probably Lady Bree, I'm Making a Move.
Okay, I'm going to go listen after this. I'm so excited. What is one daily or consistent habit that helps you step more into your confidence and your self-love?
So every morning I sing the Mother Moon song with my daughter. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
The Mother Moon song? Oh my gosh. It's I love my body from my head to my toes.
Yes, I do know that.
I love my body. Yeah. I will not sing it, but I sing that to her. But it's amazing because I'm almost looking myself in the eyes and I'm like singing it to myself too. So I'm trying to lead by example, but it's not been easy. But it's been a journey. We're just in the beginning.
Yeah. You are doing amazing. More amazing. I don't know. Moms, I don't know how y'all do it, but y'all don't give yourself enough credit because I look at all the moms, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. You are like, how you do it, I have no idea, but I look at you with so much awe and I know that it's hard and I know it's challenging and all the things, but just know that the rest of us are looking at you like, oh my gosh, like you are the most powerful humans ever. All the credit. All right, final question. If there was one powerful piece of advice that you could leave for your daughter, what would it be?
Oh, okay, Danielle, I was not prepared for that. Like, just to never be afraid to let your light shine. And I know that sounds so cheesy, but to not be afraid to be yourself and to not be afraid to take up space and to not be afraid to be too much, or to know that you're always enough, to not shrink yourself, to not try to be bigger than your britches, but just to be yourself and embrace every single day. And I'm looking at a photo of her behind my desktop right now. It's just like when you see someone so small and you know how beautiful they are on the inside and out, and her heart, she's like 7 months old and she has so much personality and she's so beautiful. And I just like, I never want her to lose that. And as I'm saying that, I'm like, I'm realizing that someone is sitting here listening to this maybe and is thinking that they are not beautiful, or that their light is not shining, or that they are alone. And it's like, if you could just remember like how beautiful you are from the inside out, and how much potential you have, and how much power you have in the tip of your finger because of who you are and the journey that you've walked, and how that has made you stronger and resilient and brave and beautiful. Oh, just sit in that. Just to sit in that.
I love that, because I think it's, if everyone could just see themselves the way that we see them, that'd be powerful.
And even on our hardest days, like I beat myself up. I know that. But I pull up a photo of my like 11-year-old self, or that like awkward 8-year-old Amber that was just trying so hard to fit in and didn't know who I was. Like I pull up that photo and I'm just like, she would have never believed if I told her where I was today. She would have been shocked. She would have been so much braver and so much more confident if she would have known that I was living every single dream. And even better than I could have ever dreamt in my adult life. Like, it looks different, but it's like, if you're having one of those hard days, just to pull up an old photo of yourself and be like, wow, if no one else is proud of me today, that sweet girl is so proud of me.
So good. I don't want to even stop this conversation, but we have to, I know, but it's just so good. You are so powerful. You are such an incredible human that is making the biggest difference in the world. So where people are listening, they're like, oh my gosh, I need more Amber in my life. Where can they find you, hang out with you? Is there anywhere you want to send them?
Yes, absolutely. So our conference, Fill Your Cup, is coming up for 2024. We're starting planning for that. We haven't released a date yet, but you can hop on our newsletter for Fill Your Cup. That's where I send all the inspiration and try to really stay plugged into that newsletter. So that's fillyourcupconference.com. And then on a personal side, if you go to amberzaricor.com, I am not on social media right now, so you won't see me posting, but I started doing mentorship calls. And so that is something where it's a full hour of my time. You can quote unquote pick my brain, and we can chat about like walking through anything that you're going through, whether that's in business or community building or self-care, whatever that looks like. And so you can book that on my website at amberzaricor.com.
Yay. And I will make sure all the links are there so people can just click and find you exactly where they need to go. Any last words that you want, if we didn't cover anything, or any last thing that you would like to leave for our friends listening before we say goodbye?
I just want to say thank you, Danielle. Like, it is such a gift to, again, just be connected with you. Again, this was a connection where we felt that synergy through the online like space. And then when we met in real life at Fill Your Cup, it was like, did we just become best friends? And that is the energy that I just want to channel into this podcast. And I feel like it has come across, but just to know that like, that opportunity is there for the listener and someone else in the world too, that you also spark energy, and that what you put out into the world, you will receive, and that there's so much beauty in that. So if you're looking for a friend, just lean into Danielle and I's conversation and just embrace that, and then go throughout your day like everyone's your new best friend. Like the mailman, the barista, like, hi, how are you? How can I support you and love you today? Like, they might look at you like you're crazy, but the world is your oyster. The world, everyone in it just wants to be your friend.
Yes. No, it's so true. I love that so much. I feel the same exact way. And if you're looking for new besties, a really great way too, if you know someone on social media where you're like, we're supposed to be best friends, but maybe she doesn't know this, but I need to send her a little subtle hint, then you could just send her this podcast and be like, hey, they were talking about friends, and like, would you want to be my friend? Listen to this podcast episode, because I know that everyone would benefit from hearing more from Amber and just getting this message, and we're all going to go make new best friends. So thank you, Amber, for being here. I love you. I appreciate you. And that's all we got for the day. So share this episode, go make besties, and we will see you back here next time. Bye, friend.
I'll remind you at the end of every single episode, you do not owe the world pretty, but you do owe yourself to step into your personal power, because you, my friend, are a powerhouse woman. Go out and prove it to yourself.